Hi, everybody. How are you all doing today? I can see everyone in chat. Let me know where you're watching from and what are you drinking this afternoon. I'm hosting you from Stockbridge, Georgia, and I am drinking water. Good afternoon, Dolores. Nice to have you on. Tanya, nice to have you. Valerie, thanks for joining me. Angela, nice to have you. Connecticut, Valerie, nice to have you. Florida, nice to have you. Hey, Tanya, how are you? Greetings from Savannah. We are not too far away. I think we've got Christy on, still morning in Denver. So good morning to you. Prattville, Alabama, apple juice. All right. Elizabeth, nice to have you on from the UK. Latanya, not drinking anything. All right. No problem with that. And then Peggy, Orlando, Florida, drinking tea. All right. So welcome to our 6th episode of a travel CEO session. My name is Sundey Gardner. There are quite a few new faces on joining me live, and I want to say thank you for joining me live this Wednesday afternoon as we on our next to the last episode for our season 1. So Roberta, welcome as well. Today we are going to talk about the advice that's keeping you underpaid and overworked. If you're wondering why you're hustling in your travel business nonstop, but your bank account doesn't reflect that, today's the session that you're going to get the wake-up call that you need to do things differently inside of your business. Give me an emoji if you guys are excited about that. I'm going to talk today about the 5 biggest lies that the travel industry, I believe, when I started in the travel industry, and maybe those are the same lies that are keeping you trapped in a cycle of low profits and endless work inside of your travel business. Are you guys like feeling that? Like, I remember when I started in this industry, many years ago, I am a listener. Like I will follow those people who seem to be an authority figure and I will follow their advice. And I did a lot of following of advice when I started in the travel industry. And frankly, when I started in the online space, because most of you all are online entrepreneurs. You don't have a brick and mortar business. You are doing things out of your home or, while you're at work or whatever the case may be. And really, your mentality is going to have to be a whole lot different than it is if you actually had a physical building go in. And that was sort of the wake up call that I had, is that I couldn't treat this business the same way that I treated my physical business at the time. And that was a big for me. And so by the end of this session, here's my promise to you. I want you to walk away today knowing exactly why the myths and the lies that you've been told in the industry are costing you money and how you can create these concrete strategies to break free from it today. So let's get started. All right. So we're going to talk about these 5 myths. One of them has to do with people who are close to you. We're going to talk pricing and also why every client, all money is not good money. And then we'll talk about how you can focus on the right thing in your business. These aren't just harmless misconceptions. These are not just harmless little white lies that don't really hurt us. These are actually profit killers and you back. And so what I want you to do is, if you don't have a notepad and you don't have a pen, you're going to want to grab it because you're going to get some pretty valuable nuggets today. All right. So here is what I want to be super clear about is most of you all have probably been told the same thing. How many of you were out there, were recruited by somebody who's in the business and you are now a part of a host agency through recruiting? Raise your hand. Just say me if that's you. That was my story. I started in 2016. I was recruited into the business by a host agency that was heavily into recruiting. And, I had an upline, and that upline got me. I was drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. Like I was in there like swimwear. And the problem with, and so I'm not really trying to talk about the problem with the recruiting process, because frankly, you're here. I don't really care how you got into the travel business. What we want to do is make sure that we understand that if you're serious about doing this business, that you aren't here to book discount trips for your friends and family. How many of you guys feel like that? You're not here to be competing with Expedia.com. Say yes if that's what you feel. You're not here to say yes to every single body who said, I want to go to Las Vegas in 3 weeks. Can you hook me up? Right? You're not here to try and cram in the midst of your full-time job, visiting dozens of countries and trying to be the expert in every single one of those countries. And you absolutely aren't going to be chasing every trend that you see on TikTok. I don't play politics in my lives, pretty much in my business, but you would have to be pretty much dead if you didn't see what's going on in our United States right now. And with that, I have seen an amazing number of TikToks about people talking about, if you want to expat to another country, here's the country you need to do. So now what people are getting flooded in their TikToks and in their news feeds are all this sort of misinformation about destinations, right? Have you guys seen that out there? And what I will tell you is it doesn't matter about all of that. 6-figure travel advisors, they're keeping their nose to their grind and they're doing exactly the opposite of the things that I'm going to tell you are the lies that you are believing about your travel business. These aren't just bad advice things. These aren't just things that you could be like, oh, okay, I'll just throw it out. These are actually causing you to struggle more. And these are the reasons why most travel advisors can't even break more than $40,000 a year. And I'm not talking about gross sales. I'm talking net in your pocket type of sales. And I see this pattern over and over again, even before our current U.S. situation with what's going on in our country. I've seen this throughout my career as a coach with you all. And so what we want to do is we want to break these patterns, and we want to make sure that, one, you're aware and that you have the right strategies to do that. Advisors, listen, you guys are making low commissions, right? It doesn't matter what your split is, unless you've got a supplier that is net or and you are able to price what you want, you probably are at a low commission model. Even at 16%, as high as 18%, if you're with the host agency, you still got to split. And oftentimes, even at that high percentage, that still knocks you down to net to you between 12 and 15%, even if you're on the high end of that. You're constantly probably feeling that you don't have enough personal time to travel yourself. That's how I felt. Like I was working a full-time job, I was doing travel, and then I was actually coaching people at one time as well. Right. Not to mention, I had at the time when all three of my kids were at home, I had three kids. I was trying to be a soccer, I was trying to be a football mom. I was doing the most. And so what I literally did was create sort of this recipe for burnout. We talked about that last week. So if you missed that in CEO replays, but the other thing that's sort of new now is like all of these hot destinations that people are talking about so they can escape the United States. And those are just trends, right? Rather than you building a business based on expertise, you're reacting to what's going on instead of actually strategically building a business that's going to pay you what you're worth and actually deliver the type of results that you want. And so let's get to it. All right. So here is the problem. I don't think the problem is that you don't have a passion for travel, because I think that all of y'all are passionate. Look in comments. Are you guys all passionate? Like, is everybody who is watching me today, are you all passionate about travel? Are you passionate about servicing the people that you work with? Let me know in comments. Like, I'm looking, right? So I'm seeing a bunch of yeses, right? Elizabeth says yes. Valerie says yes. Dottie says yes. All of you say yes, right? So this is not an issue of passion. And this is really not an issue of work ethic, because most of you, as I know, have full-time jobs and you are still kicking ass as a travel advisor, trying to do the very best and service as many people as you can. So it's not work ethic. It's not passion. It's that your business model probably is designed to keep you struggling. And so let's talk about these 5 lies that you need to replace with strategies that actually are going to drive profitability, because it's time for you to stop playing small and start building a business that pays you what you're worth. Let me just pause and say that. Like, if you don't think it's possible, it's time for you to start thinking it's possible. But before we get started, I'd like to launch our first poll so I can see where you guys are at. So you guys should get that poll. And it is asking, what is the biggest truth you've been told? Does building a business through friends and family, that's the way to go? Compete on price to get started, take any clients who come your way. And then the fourth one is all of the above. So when we get at about 50%, I will end the poll. So if you are online, please, so that I can see where you all at in your business. Don't you love when we do that? I do that. And thank you whoever told me that I was sharing the wrong poll. Let me share the right poll. All right. Launch right poll this time. Thank you. That was not the right poll, Dolores. Thank you. Somebody, I hit the wrong poll. All right. So this one is how many? Oh my goodness. This is not the right poll at all. I think my admin put the wrong poll on here. All right. So I'm going to have to ask you guys to do this by hand. So she put the wrong polls on here, and I don't think I can get the right ones. All right. So the question was, which one of these lies or truths have you been told in your business? 1, build your business through family and Pole Patrol. I love that, Dolores. That is so right. Like Pole Patrol. I should have checked the polls before we left. But is it 1, build your business through friends and family? 2, compete on price? 3, take any client who comes with you? Or 4, all of the above? Which one do you feel like you've been told about your business? I see we're getting a lot of 4s, lots of 1s. My biggest one for me, I won't be able to tally up all the numbers, but I'm going to sort of guess at what we see. I see a lot of all of the aboves. The biggest one truth that I believe was, join the business, join your friends and market to your friends and family. Just tell your friends and family that you're a travel advisor and you'll get clients. That was like my number one truth truth. Oh, I got friends and family. I am a social butterfly. I'm going to be able to get business through my friends and family. That is the one that I believe. So here's the reality, right? Doesn't matter which truth you're operating on. The point is that these truths that you believe, or these statements or this advice that you believe, completely holds you hostage mentally. And so take example, one of my clients, Denise, she came to me, she was completely burned out, considering quitting the industry, which many of you all unfortunately get to this when you're working your butts off to try and make things work and things aren't clicking. You get to the point of like, is this really right for me? And this is where Denise was. And she spent her first year booking discount trips. Anybody and everybody that would book, she would do that. Lots of friends and family trying to get the lots of people where she's trying to price match stuff, and it really burned her out. So she was saying yes to everything. How many of you guys feel that way, where you are saying yes to everything that comes your way and you're feeling burnt out and you're feeling inadequate because you haven't had the time to go travel? Like, I know a lot of advisors who haven't been to some of the countries that they're selling, and it's a little demoralizing, right? And Denise was putting in a lot of hours. I don't know how many hours you guys are putting in, but she was putting in a lot of hours in business, and she was only bringing in less than $1,000 a month in her business, right? So she's working, near full time in the business, specifically working a full-time job, and then you're coming in and you're doing quotes with everybody, and you're, at the end of the day, you're only making 1,000 extra, right? I always say, like, being an entrepreneur, when you start off, you better not do it for the money, right? Particularly if you don't have the right systems in place, because what you will find out, it's a whole hell of a lot of work and not a lot of payoff if you're not doing it right. But after working with me, and so we spent about 90 days, and what we did is we crushed her the lies that her mind believed. And so she transformed her business. And this is what she did. She stopped booking friends and family. And she did what I said, which is, you think of friends and family as the icing to your cake. They are not your cake, right? Your business is not built on friends and family. Now, I do not want those people who are like, friends and family have done me well. Don't slide in my inbox and telling me, oh, you're wrong. Because the reality is, the majority of the time, friends and family cannot build a sustainable business long term. They can give you some referrals, they can get you floating by, but if you're wanting this business to be your full-time business, replace full-time income, you will not be able to rely on friends and family alone. Frankly, you're going to start to love strangers. This is what I say. Strangers pay the bills. Friends and family just give me the icing on top of the bills. So what Denise did is she stopped working with her friends and family. And because frankly, her friends and family wanted discounts. Every time they slid into her inbox and said they wanted to go somewhere, they're looking for some major hookup. I actually had one of my family members do this to me a couple of weeks ago. She was like, I want to go on a cruise. And it was February. And so she wants to go on a cruise next this summer, where cruise, like, for this summer travel, I think she wanted to go in May. Full payment is already made. And so she's like, I want to cruise, and I want to be able to get a payment plan that's reasonable, and I only want to pay $500. And I was like, dude, if you see it out there, go grab it. That's what I told her. I was like, because I'm not about to go chase down trying to get, and not only that, the amount of money that I would pay that I would get in commission would have been pennies. Even after I told her my 250, she was like, that's reasonable for you to find me something less than $500 per person. I was like, dude, I'm not even interested. The amount of time it would have taken me to do that, to go and do that type of research, the 250 wasn't even worth it to me, right? Because my time, I can't get back, right? This is not even in my notes, because I want to tell you how much I still get friends and family trying to nickel and dime me together. And you got to know in your head what your time is worth, what your average ticket price is, to even see if it's worth your time. If you just know the math, right? Like, I'm all wound up now, because I had forgotten about this until I just was thinking about, like, this example of Denise. Is your friends and family will run you ragged and they won't even necessarily book with you, right? So you do all this work, and even if you get them to pay your fee, you do all this work, and then they take the booking and they book yourself. Friends and family are like the mafia, man. Like, they're horrible. And so what I will tell you is, don't do it to yourself. Like, do not try and build a business you're new thinking that they're going to be. Now, don't get me wrong. I remember what it felt like to be new in the business, and the warm and fuzzy and the excitement that you get when you get somebody who says, I want to go out of town, and it's your first set of clients. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But what I'm telling you is, if you allow yourself to be drawn in by the friend and family drug and you don't resist it, you're going to find yourself trapped in the cycle of thinking that your service and your value is only worth what your friends and family are willing to pay, which is not the case. If you build the business right, your friends and family will either fall in line or they'll fall away. And that's what you want, right? All right, so let me get back to my notes. So here, what I would tell you is, she completely broke free of these lies that we're going to talk about, right? The idea is that you have a client qualification process. Friends and family need to go through that. You specialize in a particular region so that you can get depth, right? You also don't need to visit every single place. I will tell you though, visiting a location just puts the biggest smile on your face and your ability to sell a location, but you don't need to have 50 locations underneath your belt in order to effectively sell. What you need is the ability to research. What you need is the ability to use AI. What you need is the ability to work with suppliers and vet them properly. So with that being said, let's get into the lies, because I'm still riled up by my cousin reach out, the cousin reach out. All right, so here's the thing: is this is what people aren't really talking about in the industry, is that the travel industry benefits you when you stay small, meaning suppliers benefit, host agencies benefit, everybody but you benefit when you stay small. Suppliers want you to book high volume. That is the reason, that is how they reward you. The more you book, the more that they will pay you and get you above a standard commission, right? So they're playing it for a volume game. But should you be playing that game from a volume game? Awards are given out by the most amount of sales that you make, but the way that sales work usually mean that you've got to be booking a lot of volume in order to hit those numbers, right? Host agencies want you to process as many transactions as possible, right? As many and as high as much as you can in terms of sales. That's what they want you to do. Conventional wisdom keeps you too busy and insecure about your craft that it's not sustainable. I did the math in our foundations class last week. It wasn't this week. We went over those numbers last week, and they were amazed by how many dollars they need to make to hit six figures. And I've done the math. I've created a calculator. I've done the math multiple times. The reality is, if you want to be a six-figure net to you, so I'm not talking about sales, you want to make $100,000 in your business, and you are with a host agency and you're not marking up, you're doing straight commission, average gross sales needs to be $1 million, right? I want that to sit with you, right? And so in order to do that, and if you're doing this business part-time, how will you achieve $1 million if you aren't even selling? You're not even selling at your gross ticket sales are not 5,000 or more per person. Do you know how many people you need to sell? I'd have to do the math. Got a calculator that does the math for you, but it's a lot of freaking trips. It's a lot of people to get to $1 million in sales in order for you to hit $100,000 in gross income in your business, right? So all of this wisdom that people are giving you and is not in alignment probably to what you want. So if you want to make six figures, those advisors that are really making the real money, they aren't playing by these rules. They're not booking discounts for friends and family. They're not competing on price. They're not order takers or glorified order takers. They don't work with everyone. They're not worried about their personal passport trips. They're definitely not chasing whatever destination of the month. This isn't about working harder. This is really about you all working smarter, right? So let's talk about lie number one. You should build your business through friends and family, right? And that is the lie that I believe. And I'm going to tell you, I think I've already spent probably enough time talking about it, is that friends and family, it sounds logical because they already know you, right? They already like you. They probably already trust you. And you think, well, it should be a natural way for them to just buy from you, but that is not the case. The first thing that you need to know about friends and family is three things happen. When you feel obligated to offer pricing, discount pricing, and give them a cut, right? Like, I'm going to work with my aunt. She wants, I love what I do. I want to help her get out of town. It wasn't my aunt, it was my cousin. I'm going to help my cousin get out of town. So let me just do the solid for her, right? You know how much time would have taken out of my day to be able to do that, do the discount, price matching, try to do it when I already know in my heart, because that sixth sense that God gives us tells us when things are going to not be good for us and we just decide to ignore them, right? It would have cut into my time and it cuts into my commission. The second thing is that it trains your brain to attract those people who value price over expertise. And I want you guys to stop doing that. Third thing friends and family teach you is that it teaches you to establish a pattern in pricing that are extremely difficult for you to break later, right? I've got a host of clients who are like, my entire book of business are full of my friends and family that I cannot sell higher to, right? How many of you guys have that situation where you've got people on your list, but they're full of your friends and family where you've sold them discount trips before? So now when you come out and you say that you've got a design fee of $350, they look at you and they're like, what are you talking about, $350? You just get me out of town for free. Like what's going on? So what I want you to just walk away from this lie is that you need to specialize in a thing and in a person instead of booking budget trips for friends and family. Unless, of course, that's what you want to do. And if you want to do, then stop doing custom fits for them. Get them into a membership and charge them monthly for the membership. I keep saying that. Like, if you want to be a budget travel advisor, there is a model that works, that you doing custom design trips for every Yahoo that comes in who's not willing to pay your fee, and nor are they willing to actually pay the price point that you want to sell your trips at. So specialize in an area and specialize in a type of person, right? I'm going to use this good example, right? I've got a previous client. She joined, and what her idea was is she wanted to be a wedding destination specialist. And, this one is, I love wedding destination specialists because everybody can relate. I personally would never do weddings. I just don't like the space, don't like all of it. But for those that love it, you can relate. Most people can relate, right? The ideal client, somebody who wants to get married in an unconventional way, right? Not in a traditional way, and they want to take their friends and family on this trip, right? That's the ideal client. Well, if you know who that client is, then even if you are going to do your friends and family, which I would shy away from because that's always just a recipe for disaster, you know who your client is. It's brides to be, right? People who are about to get married, who want an unconventional wedding, right? And so your objective is to create and get in front of those people and then pick destinations that you can specialize in that would allow them to do their weddings there. That's really the exercise here. Is the shift is pretty simple, and it's a very powerful shift. Instead of starting with convenient but non-ideal clients in your business, focus on establishing yourself inside of locations where your communities are. So Facebook group for years has been the way that I would have recommended people to find people. Facebook groups are a little tricky right now. If you go and you find a Facebook group, I'm going to specifically say if you do wedding destinations, you got to be super strategic about finding groups where your people are and positioning yourself as an expert. My recommendation is to grow your own group. Grow your own group, attract your ideal client to that group, and then show up as the expertise there. To me, it's easier to do that than try and finagle your way into these groups, because the admins are just shutting you down now. Like, they don't want to hear you as an advice. They think you're stealing their clients. I just say if you're going to have to do something, you're going to have to do the work of growing your own group. Establish yourself inside of either someone else's community or your own community as the expert of these people and what they want. You want to have high value clients who appreciate your expertise. The reason why going into Facebook groups was a good strategy back in the day is because those people were already there. Finding influencers who already are servicing your community, finding businesses that are already servicing your community, and then offering content to those businesses, to those influencers that allow you to show up as the expert. That is how you start to attract people that you want. The idea is family are not the primary. They're absolutely just the icing. All right, line number 2, you need to compete on price to build your client base. Listen, this is probably the biggest lie that you could believe about your business, because this is and it's one of the most damaging, because it establishes the foundation in your business that you just you can never recover. You cannot compete with these online travel agencies. So these OTA, online travel agency, you can't compete with them. They've got $1 million budgets. They've got $1 million, if not multiple $1 million advertising budgets to be able to position themselves in front of their client. They also have $1 million contracts with suppliers that get them wholesale rates that you should not be trying to compete with. So stop doing it. You don't need to do it. Like you have the ability to design, particularly if you're doing group trips or you're doing custom fit trip, you have the ability to design one of a kind experiences for your client base that an OTA will never do, because that is not their market. Their market is not into creating one of a kind. They're into creating cookie cutter trips that can sell quickly. Does that make sense? Unless you have the budget to compete, then don't compete. Remove yourself from the competition. Clients who choose you, choosing you not because you're the cheapest option, because you're never going to be the cheapest option. I mean, legitimately, and you shouldn't be even trying to be the cheapest option. If you find clients that you beat the price, then those clients, I promise you, will leave when they find someone cheaper, right? So we don't want to attract people who only find us because we are the cheapest fill in the blank there is, because they're not going to be loyal. You're not building loyalty with these people. You're training people to see planning trips is a commodity. Pricing is the only thing that's important, and you don't want to differentiate yourself just by price alone. That should be the last thing that you should do. So a couple of weeks ago, I talked to you about one of my clients, Alex, where she did safari trips. And so typical safari trip was $3,500. She's making 12% commission. And so that turned in about $420 in bookies. I don't know if you guys remember that. I'm just sort of getting you back to speak. So she worked with me to get her to apply the value stack method. So for those of you who have my book, The Value Vault Method, she took those principles and she applied that to create this $3,200 package and increase it to about $5,900. And that's a significant difference. So she's still going to get commission, right? But that markup, depending on her relationship with her host agency, that markup could go all to her. It potentially would need to be split with her host agency, but the point is that she's been able to increase the average ticket price of her trip just by applying the Value Vault method. All right. And so how'd she do that? Is she leveraged her expertise. She leveraged local connections. She created high perceived touch points for her clients that cost her nothing to do. So she was able to increase the price point of the trip, increase her commission, increase her markup without having to do anything different by just pricing it differently. She positioned herself as the premium service provider. She charges a planning free, let me say that 10 times. She charges planning free. I'm having a hard time today with that. Planning free, I was like the rain in Spain. She charged planning fees upfront. Like, that's so funny to me. I love doing lives, right? Because you got all these bloopers that happen while you're in the middle of doing a live. I couldn't get that out. So she charges upfront for her planning fees, and that's not something that she did before. And she now packages up her knowledge as a part of the value that she brings to the table and the price point that's included. And this is what I want for you all. Like, is you need to take whoever client however you can. You don't have any sort of discernment between who you client because you're looking to book as many as you absolutely can. This lie is absolutely a mindset shift you've got to make. This is a lie that your mind tells you that I've got somebody's called me, I need to jump through hoops to be able to deliver whatever they want, no qualification process in place. When you do that and you continue to operate, every hour that you spend with a client who doesn't value your expertise is an hour you have spent not finding the one who does, right? Every hour that you spend working with clients who are not the client that you want takes you from your future new client that is out there waiting for you. Every discount that you take on trains your brain that you believe that that's what you're worth. I can only sell $1,200 packages. I can only sell $2,500 packages because that's all that you've ever done. You can't fathom it because you've never done it, and you're probably not associating yourself with other people that have done it. So your brain starts to believe that is the only limitation that you have. Every nightmare client that you work with drains the energy out of your soul, right? And it drains you from being able to attract those kinds of clients that you need to. I personally can speak to being drained by clients who aren't my ideal clients, right? You're bending over backwards and they're problematic, right? In terms of their wants and their needs, right? And you're not making any money. So then you're frustrated because you're working all this time. Your husband, your wife is not happy with you because you're not there, because you're burning both ends of the candle. And there's nothing monetarily or even emotionally that you get out of the exercise. We want to stop that. All right. So let's talk about the next slide. Line number 4, you need to be a well-traveled person to be successful. Don't get me wrong, it helps, but it's not a necessity. What's really a necessity is that when you think that you have to have gone everywhere to be able to sell it, it just feeds into your imposter syndrome, where you think to yourself, well, I can't possibly sell a thing or do a thing because I've never experienced a thing. And the reality is that's not true. What makes you a really good travel advisor, not only is it because you've experienced the destination, it's really around the following things. What makes somebody a good travel advisors, and the ones that are successful, is that they're damn good researchers. They're really great relationship builders, and they're really good problem solvers, right? Those are the 3 skills. No matter if you've gone all over the world and you don't have these skills, you still aren't going to be effective. So it's not the fact that you've traveled everywhere, it's how good are you at research? How good are you about building relationships? I'll give you just a couple of examples, right? I've got advisors who are like, I've never been to Dubai, Bali, wherever, right? Those are my 2 favorite places right now. I've never been to those places. And they say, well, I have a hard time selling it. And I'm like, why do you have a hard time selling it? It's not research. I was like, so what have you researched around that? Well, I've not done any research, Sundey. I'm like, well, what suppliers do you know that sell those? Have you reached out to them? No, I haven't. I'm like, that's what's holding you back. It's not the visit to the location. Again, don't get me wrong. Visiting the location is helpful. It does boost your ego. It does boost your confidence, but it's not necessary. You've got to be able to get out there, let your fingers do the walking and let your mouth do the talking so that you can start to build relationships. I do not know how many advisors I work with who have never reached out to a BDM, who's never picked up the phone, reached out to the supplier BDMs that they work with and do not have a relationship with them. If you want to be a 6-figure earner in this business, you have to have relationships, because that is your secret sauce. The relationships that you have with these suppliers, where they can give you the hookup and you utilize their services, that they can be your on the ground problem solver when your clients get to the destination and you know who to call. That is what's going to make you a top earner, not the fact that you visited Mexico, Cancun 50 times over and you know everything about Mexico. That helps, but it is not a prerequisite to being able to sell and sell effectively. Hopefully that one clicks, because I think this is the one that to here, but I've never exactly. Deborah says, I tell people to go to fill in the blank, but she's never been. And you don't have to be there in order to sell it effectively. What I am super good at is research. Many of you probably don't know this, but my story is when I was in high school and college, I was a debater, which taught me how to research like nobody's business. So, I mean, if a piece of evidence could be found, I probably could find it. And so I'm very good at research. I'm very good at problem solving. I'm very good at relationship building, right? So I may have never been anywhere in the world, but if I decided to sell something, you bet your bottom dollar, I'd be able to find out everything I need to know about that to sell it. I'd be able to find and vet suppliers that can cover me in a way that I wouldn't, because I've never been on the ground, and I can problem solve out of pretty much anything that goes my way. I am a solution identifier, right? So somebody gives me a problem, I'm going to solution. I'm not going to feed into the problems and not come up with solutions. So this is what top advisors can do and do well. My question to you all is, are you all doing that? Like, do you all feel like you're good? You're good at relationship building. You're good at research. You're good at solving problems. Do you feel like that? But yet you still are not selling locations that you've never been to. How many of you guys are feeling like that out there? And so while you guys are answering, let me take a sip because I am talking fast today. Let me give you an example of one of the clients that I work with. She worked, let me make sure I don't mistell her story, is that she wanted to build a six-figure business. So Jasmine started with me, it was about a year ago. She started with me. She specialized in Japan. And she had never been to Japan. She always wanted to do Japan, but she never could find the time. She has a full-time job. She couldn't figure out how to do it. But what she did do is she did develop relationships with 5 exceptional local guides in Japan. She immersed herself in Japanese culture. So this was her bucket list destination. So this is the reason why she wanted to learn all about it. She learned how to create specialized trips that specifically focused on Japan. Her suppliers helped her with the things that she didn't know specifically around local activities or areas or considerations that she needed to do around Japan. Your clients don't care how many times you visited a destination, right? They care about the experience that you can provide to them. And so what Jasmine learned is that she learned how to leverage research, right? So we spent a lot of time helping her learn how to research through the internet, also take suppliers' content and really start to ask them specific questions. Now this was even before we started utilizing AI the way that we can. AI is only good as long as you can put in the right prompts in order to get out what you want. And so when it comes to research, that is what is going to make you better at getting the type of results that you want. So if you want to go to a destination and you want to learn about a destination, you want to feed a AI tool like Perplexity, which is a internet crawler. You can go and search across the internet and give you results. As long as you put in the right input and research skills allow you to do that, you'll be able to get out the kind of information that's going to help you really understand a destination intimately. Focusing on becoming connected. And what I mean by that is having the homie connection with suppliers, right? Identifying suppliers, reaching out to those suppliers, and then developing relationships with those suppliers so that they become the coverage on the ground at the destinations that you sell, right? Your research ability and your networking ability is really going to be the thing that's going to allow you to sell more of a particular destination, not the fact that you've been there. Again, if you go there, that's going to be the icing, but you still need to be able to research, because I can't tell you how many advisors I know that go and they do fam trips and they really still don't know much about the destination, right? They know about resorts, the particular resort, and maybe some of the amenities of the resorts, but they still don't know anything about the destination. And frankly, learning just about a resort is important, but you really want to provide an all-inclusive experience that usually is beyond just the resort in and of itself. Line number 5, You need to focus on selling what's popular now. Right now, hell, everything out of the United States is popular right now. And so this is what I will tell you. Whatever is trending on social media, that's great. And it's great if you want to follow what everybody else is doing. But what I will tell you is that these higher supplier incentives, what it does not do is it allows you to become part of an oversaturated market, right? So you just then are like, so let's use an example, right? Because I see a lot of my two favorite places, right? I see a lot of lately I've been seeing a lot of Thailand. I've seen a lot of Bali. I see a lot of what's another place that I see? All the countries that people want to move to, I see a lot of in my feed. And it could be just because of my feed. And so friends, right? And my question, Greece, I see a lot of Greece as well. Hey, Jess, nice to see you. And when you chase these trends, you're competing with other, like thousands of other advice. So let's use Greece as an example, right? The places to go to Greece is Santorini, Athens, and there's another one. I can't think of the third place that's pretty popular. So when you think of Greece and you go to these three popular places, Mykonos, I always have a hard time. Mykonos. I always have a hard time. Like I need a phonetic pronunciation of that. Mykonos, I think it is, and I don't think I'm pronouncing that right. But those are the three top places to go. But what if you did the flip side of that? Mykonos. Thank you, Maria. Mykonos. Mykonos. You guys are totally getting bloopers for me today. So Mykonos. Mykonos. It just doesn't seem like it's flowing right. I remember talking to I think it was Celestial a couple of years ago when we were thinking about doing a Greece trip. And so she taught me how to say it, but my brain has forgotten how to do it. So what I'm telling you is, what if you did this as an alternative? So instead of just thinking about the most popular places to go to a destination, you do this approach instead. While everyone's fighting over like city bookings, right? Build a six-figure business that's really around the lesser known Greek islands with that will allow you to craft authentic experiences, right? With high-end client touches. Clients can't find them anywhere, right? We already know Miko. Like I hear it in my brain, like so I keep seeing it in the chat. Like I'm gonna go and I'm Mykonos. I wish like someone would come off of mute and just tell me how to pronounce it. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get off of being stuck on this. Someone come off of mute and
Mykonos.
Mykonos. There we go. Thank you. I appreciate that, Patty. Mykonos. Like, I was going to be forever stuck on that. Mykonos. Okay. So those are the top three. But what if you built your business around the lesser known Greek islands? Greece has a lot of islands to it. There are a lot of beautiful islands to Greece. Why not go to the lesser known ones and build that business around that? So you become known as the go-to expert for Greece without the crowds, right? Because if you've ever been there, right, everybody is trying to get pictures at the blue top, right, with the flag. But you become known for creating these sort of authentic, less crowded destinations, going at off-peak times, right? Those are the things that are going to allow you to set. Because what I will tell you is, yes, everybody wants to go to Greece, but nobody wants to stand in lines. Right? Nobody wants to stand in lines to get that Instagram moment. They all want the Instagram moment, but they don't want the lines that go with it. But you become the advisor that creates these Instagram moments for them without all of the hoopla that people are going to the known places are doing. So this strategy is really around you identifying an underserviced niche, right? We know that destination is popular, but as I say always, destinations are right? You could spend an entire year just on Greece alone, right? Pick any country in the world, any continent in the world, and you could go deep 1 year, and that's all you talk about. There is one travel advisor, I think she's also a supplier, and she's got so when I was thinking about Greece, I looked for a Facebook group, and her Facebook group is all Greece. Amazing Facebook group. And I think most of the people in her group are travel advisors, but just the way that she positions Greece is amazing. And so that's what I would say for you. If you want to specialize in a destination, don't just do the most popular places, go to the little known places and make that part of your strategy. All right. So here's what I want to ask from you. We are absolutely, I'm always running out of time, is what do you think has cost you the most money in your business? Friends and family, price competition, number three, taking on any client, or four, you feel like you needed extensive travel experience. What do you feel like has been the most thing that's costing you money? And then while you guys are answering that, I'm going to talk about some of the objections that I've gotten in the past. And if you have questions, feel free to post them here. Someone says my host is the biggest money blocker. And I'm not here to bash host agencies. I think host agencies have a great place. You just need to make sure that whoever you're with, that it's a win-win for both of you, right? It's a win for you as the advisor from a financial perspective, from a support perspective, and that you get access to the suppliers that you want to without the administrative overhead. But if you've got that, I do think that host can be a really good strategic partner for you. Okay, so ask your questions while I'm going through some of the biggest objections that I get from advisors. But if I don't start with friends and family, how will I get my first clients? And this assumes that your friends and family are your only entry point, right? Which is simply not true. First, if you start with if you start, and this, what I will tell you, this is the hardest thing I've seen advisors to break, is if you start with the people who are not your ideal client, it delays you from finding your new ones. You are stuck for a very long time, both mentally and physically, working with the group of people who keep referring the same type of people to you. It becomes very difficult for you to break that cycle. If you really want to make real money, you aren't going to rely on only your personal connections, particularly if those personal connections do not match who you really want to work with. You need to use a strategic approach that instantly positions you as the expert for your type of person. Your focus has got to be on your type of person. Your friends and family, unless they are typically not your ideal client. So the first step is to figure out who is your ideal client? Who do you want to work with? What do they care about? And then start to build a business around that. Number two objection I get is, I don't have enough experience or credentials to charge premium prices yet. I get that a lot. Like, most advisors will tell me, "Oh, I'm gonna work for free. I'm gonna design trips for free until I get the experience to do better. I'm gonna discount the price or look for the cheapest until I get more experience." Shame on you. Don't do a business that you don't feel doing. Do the business and charge what the business is worth, right? Free is not a business, right? Doing work for free is not a business. This is not an internship. You're not working under somebody to get some invaluable lessons, because everything that you're learning that you're doing for free is probably not what you need to be learning so that you can do it at premium, right? It's not teaching you to become a premium seller. It's just teaching you to work for free. So what I will say is, credentials in this industry are not what pay the bill. You can get as many of those certificates from as many suppliers as you want. And frankly, high ticket clients do not give rats behind about how many certificates you've got. They just don't. And there's no evidence that they do. Like, there's no evidence. And I've been doing high ticket sales. I've done it all. I've done low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket. It doesn't matter. Nobody has ever asked me for my certification, my PIP certification, right? My PMP. Nobody has ever asked me how many certs did I have, or what do I have to prove that I know, right? Nobody looks at your credentials but you. Don't get me wrong. I do think getting training is important. I do think getting certified is important, but it's not required for you to charge a particular price. What's required is confidence. What's required is you having the right knowledge so that you can position yourself to command and charge premium prices. This is not a question of credentials. This is a question of confidence and knowledge that you need to acquire. So what I will tell you about credentials is, credentials give you, I'm going to use this. This is not a travel related example, but it is an example that I hope that you guys can relate to. Before I got certified as a project manager, I knew my stuff. Like I knew my stuff. So I was in the technology field, but I could not break six figures. I couldn't break it because jobs wanted a certification. They wanted me to be certified either in some development or something. So I got my PMP, right? And it gave me so much confidence that I walked into businesses and I was like, yeah, six figures is the number. What do you say? And I shut up and let him say, right? So credentials gave me the confidence, but it wasn't required for me to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't required for me to become a coach. Those credentials help position me to be a coach, right? So credentials will help you to be better at your craft, but they're not required for you to sell at a premium line, right? You could decide today, from today forward, that you're going to charge $250 to design trips, and not one person is going to say, where's your credential to get that, right? Let me see your Disney certification to charge me $250 for designing trips, right? Nobody's going to say that. That's all you. So I'm not saying that you don't need credentials. What I'm saying is they are not equivalent to you charging premium pricing. Whatever knowledge you feel like you are missing in order for you to feel confident about selling at a higher ticket price, get it immediately, whatever that may be, right? But make sure that it's going to give you what you need in order to charge high prices. And frankly, what I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, what you need is confidence. What you need is a way to do it. How do you do it? And for your planning fee, you just need to decide, I'm going to charge this. This is what it includes. And the next time you get somebody, you say that, right? I don't recommend you say it up front. I think you should have a process by which you do your sales call, but that's what you need to do. You need to decide that this is what you're going to do. And then the last objection that I'm going to talk about is, during slow season, I should just take anybody and everybody, right? We're just coming off a wave season. So if you do cruising, you're probably just, we're the end of the month. It's going to be the end of wave season. And maybe this starts your slow season. You're like, nope, I'm going to take everybody that comes in. And this assumes that every client that you work with has a positive contribution to your business. And that is so not true. Low value clients don't just less, they often cost you more time, energy, and opportunity cost, right? So the amount of time that you're working with low value clients costs you, and it costs you big every single time that you do it. All right, I'm going to open it up for questions. While you guys are putting together your questions, I'm going to talk about one of the top questions that I get for, I don't see any questions. So if there are no questions, I'm just go here. Low budget clients are more work. That's statistically proven. I actually found a statistic. I told you I'm a research person. I found a statistic about this. I don't remember what the number was, but it effectively said that the least amount of money, the lower, people that pay less cause you more trouble. People that pay you more cause you less trouble, and don't demand as much, because the high ticket people have a certain expectation that you're going to take care of whatever the assumption is in terms of what it is. So for coaching, somebody pays for high dollar coaching because they don't want to do all the detail work. They want the fastest path to the result. Low ticket people, they need to justify why they're paying the money. I don't have time for that. Neither should you. Say it again for the people in the back. All right. So here's the one question that I do want to go, that I'll take time. Yeah, they're not arguing. Absolutely, Maria. They are not arguing our differences because they don't care. They don't, first of all, they don't have the time to argue, right? Most people who are paying high ticket, their time is worth any amount of money that exists, right? They don't want to, they want to know that if they pick an advisor, that advisor is going to cover them with all of the I's, T's that need to be dotted and need to be crossed. Don't come with them with all the little semantic stuff. You come with them with the package that's already ready to go, that they can do. And if anything goes wrong, they have a neck to strangle. Like, that's effectively what a high ticket person wants. They want the fastest path to the result. And they want to know, if there's a problem, who do I go? Who's going to take care of it? Right. And so that is what we've got. I don't see okay, so someone asked, where do you start to find the clients outside of your circle? That is a good question. It's actually one of my questions that I had here is that these are some questions for you to answer for yourself, Tamika. What type of travel do you genuinely enjoy researching? What client problems are you particularly good at solving? So when you think about the client that you want to work with, who is that person? What is it that they do? Right? Don't tell me it's somebody who pays high, who is willing to spend the money on the types of trips that I want, because that's really not a client identification. Like, I really want you to think about who is your client, right? Is it a mom who is just like, so I'll describe myself, right? So I'm in my 50s, I'm about to be an empty nester, I'm overworked, under traveled, right? Like, what is about these clients that you want? Who is your who that you want to get out of town? That's the first question. What destinations or experiences aren't being well served by other advisors? So if there's a particular area of the world that you'd like to specialize in, what are the common go-to places? And then what are those other places that are equally as amazing that people aren't really talking about? Those are also ways that you can then build content. Another thing to answer that is you want to marry the two. When it comes to specialization, it's not just the destination, it's the people. So you've got to be able to say, I service and I want to represent this type of persons, and I want to take them to these types of places. And this is why these types of places will make these types of people super excited, right? Like, so you've got to marriage the two of those together. Great question, though. All right, I'm going to go through our weekly challenge, and then if you guys would like to stay on for about 10 minutes, I'll open it up. You guys come off mic. So this week's challenge, this is a little bit longer. I'm going to post this inside of our group. And so if you are not a part of the CEO network, you're going to want to join us inside of our community. And that's going to be at onlinetravelboss.com/CEO network. And you will be able to I will post this challenge inside of here. But this is what this week's challenge is all about. This is about you breaking free from these 5 industry lies that we went over. I want you to take action and on at least one of them. So here is what you need to do. I want you to choose from one of these 5 areas that I'm about to talk about. One, which is ideal client redirection. Identify one place where you think your ideal clients are, where they exist, and create a plan to establish yourself where that you're valuable. And so what that means is, if you specialize in, like, I'm going to pick on Maria because she specializes in golf trips. I think, Maria, I think that's right. You specialize in golf trips. And so are there any golf communities that you can become a part of? All right. That's what number 1 is about. So identify where your people are out there. Is there a YouTube channel that they're following so that is there a Facebook group that they're in? Is there a community? Like, I don't even know if Meetup is like a thing. Like, where are your people at? And where is there a, and I often forget about actual physical meetup spaces, right? So is there a group that meets every so often? Like, Chamber is a bad example, but like, is there a golf group that meets and they've got like a chapter? Could you become a part of that and then start to add value there? Number 2 thing I want you guys to evaluate. I don't want you to do all 5. I want you to pick one of these to work on this week. Value-based pricing. Take your most popular package and create a premium version of it that's 30% higher in price by adding high perceived value elements. I talk about that inside of the book. So that's your number 2 option you can pick from. Number 3 option you can pick from is client qualification. Implement a simple application process or consultation fee that helps you filter out clients who aren't a good fit. This is about you qualifying people from the beginning. That's a number 3 thing that you could work on. Number 4 is expertise development. Choose one destination you want to specialize and schedule calls with 3 local partners to deepen your knowledge around that. And the last one for you to choose from is niche identification. Analyze the market to identify an underserved travel area. So an example of that is, if you like Dubai, what about where in Dubai could you talk about and learn about that could then become your niche area? right? What I want you to do is I want you to choose one of these areas. Do not try to do all 5 of them. Focus on implementing one of these areas this week and focusing on that. Once you're completed the post, and once you've completed this, post in the community your results, put hashtag breakfreeTSC, and then tag my name on it, and then I will give you my comments or insight around that. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to open it up before I wrap up. I've got about a good 5 minutes. Do you guys have any questions? Anybody want to come off mute, ask any questions? No? Everybody's cool? It is online. Let me type it for you. Here's the link to the group. I'm going to type it. It's https onlinetravelboss.com/CEO network. Did I spell that right? Network. Everyone in meeting. All right, I just added the link to everyone. All right, there are no questions. No one wants to come off mute. No problem. So join me next week. And what we're going to be talking about next week is we're going to be talking about posting more won't get you more clients. We're going to break down exactly what content actually converts versus what just keeps you busy. And I'll share with you the exact content strategy most successful advisors use to attract premium clients without spending hours on social media. Listen, you're not going to want to miss this one. Same date and time. I meet. Actually, this is our second to our last season. Next week, I'm going to talk about kind of what's going to happen before we start season 2. I could not get past the. So just add a picture because the community does require a picture. You could just add an example. You just need a picture. Where can you watch? I will be here, same channel. So if you've registered for our CEO sessions, you should get an email, same URL, or I'm sorry, same Zoom link. And then the replay, if you've missed any of the replays, let me tell you where you can get to the replays. Because we just got this up and I don't think that I've announced it. And I'll make sure that it goes out today. But our replays, I believe this is where the replays are. So you can catch all of our episodes on that link, and that will take you all of our replays. The replays will be coming down before we start season 2. So if you haven't watched them, you're going to want to make sure that you go there to watch them. All right. Teresa, hopefully that answers your question. Felicia, I think I answered your question. Teresa, I think I answered your question. If there are no other questions, I will see you same time, same bat channel next week. Tamika, you can reach out to me. If you are in the community, you can send me a direct message inside of the community. Yeah, and Tamika, yeah, I think we were already talking last week, so we could just maybe pick up our conversation there. So I think I'll remember your name. So I'll reach out to you and talk to you about Travel Pro Suite if you're interested. All right, ladies and gents, it was great talking to you, and I will see you next week. Have a great day.